So 5 years from now, I plan on doing my early childhood teaching at university and doing my Bachelor of Education. But my future goal for 10 years' time is to eventually and hopefully direct my own centre. Yeah, that's my goal.
Welcome to part 3 and the final video of our mini-series on what it's like to work in the childcare industry. In this episode, we'll meet with real-life industry students, trainers and managers to find out what qualifications are required to work in this industry, the various training pathways, study options and career progression opportunities available.
And if you want to work in childcare, you've either got to be working towards the Certificate 3 or at least have a Certificate 3. Then you can go on to do a diploma, which means you could become a room leader, or you could even be a director of your own service up to a certain amount of children. If you decide, I want to keep going, you can go on to do an education degree at university. A childcare qualification allows you to work in childcare. You could be a nanny, you could work in out of school hours care, you could work for the family and community services in child protection. There's lots of avenues. You could work with policy and procedure. So yeah, it's quite endless.
You do have to have, it's mandatory that you do have to have a first aid to go into childcare. You do need a basic 003 and a childcare 1004, okay, to work in a childcare centre. You do have to have a working with children's check, and it would be advisable to have a police check too. So to look into the industry, I would go and speak to a childcare centre in your area, ask them if there were traineeships going through the centre, ask them how you could better in your area where you live, how you could get further education. There are really excellent online courses and there's really excellent facilities in the community that you could further your education.
I'm the second oldest of 6 kids, and so I've grown up with little kids my whole life basically. My mum works in childcare, so I've kind of had that connection. She's worked there for 10 years, so I've had that basically my whole life as well. And I've done some babysitting with my neighbour across the road, so it's just, yeah, kind of all just fell together basically. I saw an ad for it on Facebook and I was tagged in it because my family knew that I wanted to go into something like this. So I saw it, applied for it, came for an interview, and now I'm here.
So I get 2 hours once a week to do my study and go through that sort of stuff, and then I'm hands-on the rest of the time, which is awesome. We get to experience what life in this field is like, which is, I think, is really important when you're studying something. You want to make sure that you love it, so yeah. I have a trainer come every now and then and do observations on me, and all my work is now online, and she sets me tasks and then once I finish them, she marks them, sends them back to me, gives me any feedback I need to work on, and sort of just like that give and take type thing,
I started off doing my Cert 3 here. After I finished that, I was offered to do my diploma straight away. I think that took 2 years for me to do. And then after I finished my diploma, I was offered a room leader job in the baby room. And that was 4 years ago. So yeah, for the past 4 years I've been a room leader. So it's been rewarding. It's challenging at times, but yeah, it's definitely rewarding to have that leadership role.
After finishing my traineeship, I worked in long daycare for a little while, and then as I had children, I really felt that being home with them was something that I wanted to do as well as working, and I didn't want to leave the industry, so I looked into family daycare and I haven't looked back since. I started a few years ago before my children started school and just worked my way through. I suppose I was a little nervous when I first was opening, and I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect, but it was really nice to be able to put my own personal touch on things and have areas set up in the ways that I really would like to see them set up, and having that creative control over my environment was really lovely. Just like working in a centre-based environment, family daycare needs the same qualifications. So I have my Certificate 3 in children's services, but I also needed to have my first aid certificate and my asthma and anaphylaxis. I'm currently studying my Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care so that I can further my career and do some family daycare mentoring work.
I moved around Australia with my job, and every time I've moved I've increased up the ladder. So there's a saying that's called a rite of passage. Worked from the bottom and have really worked my behind off to get to the top. I've been here for 3 years. 3 years now. And when I started there was 4 or 5 children here, and we've now made it to 37 children a day. We've upped our licence and we're full. So for me it's been very beneficial to put staff on and watch them grow. I got to a point in my career where I knew that I'd had enough of being on the floor, and I needed to make that move to learn a bit more about the business side of things.
I started as a teacher and then moved on to being an assistant principal and then a principal of a school, of a primary school. Then I went and worked for the Department of Education as a consultant and decided on a bit of a career change and did some university teaching. Then I moved back into childcare. I just found that that was my passion. I could utilise all the skills I had as a teacher with some of the knowledge I'd learnt through doing as well a diploma in early childhood education and care and a master's in leadership, put it all together, and it made, I think, a fairly good basis for being a director.
And that concludes our video mini-series. We hope that this has given you some helpful insight into what it's like to work in the childcare industry. If you would like further information or some help finding a job in this industry, please contact ETC on 1800 007 400 or visit our website at etcltd.com.au.